Most people never get good, not because they lack talent, but because they never escape the beginner phase, aka the foundational phase. It's the most common place of frustration in learning any new skill. This is the place where 99% of people quit, where all hopes, dreams, and aspirations go to die. But fret not, if you want to avoid this fate, you simply need to understand how the foundational phase actually works and how to move past it so you'll unlock the part of skill building that most never get to. Real momentum, real progress, and real skill. Before we talk about escaping the beginner phase, we have to understand what it actually is. Most people have no idea what they're really going through. They say things like, I suck at this isn't working, I guess I'm just not talented. But what they're feeling is what I call the foundational phase angst. You know, everybody in the foundational phase goes through this. It happens in every skill. In newsflash, you don't escape it even when you've been learning a lot of skills. Like I'll tell you, you always go through this. And as someone who's learned multiple skills, I'll tell you, even if I want to learn something new, I still understand this and it still sucks. But when you understand it and you normalize it, you can skip the whole pity party. And most of the problems you just avoid because you understand that this is normal. It's only when something's not normal that you start thinking, oh, something's wrong with me, and you start aspiring meaning that isn't there. If you just assume that this was just like if you take driving, for example, you would know that this is totally normal, but somehow you don't apply that with every other skill. This is the most painful part of any learning journey because you put in effort, you don't see the results, you're building these invisible fundamentals, and skills just don't feel useful yet. And there's no visible progress, so that means there's no dopamine, so you have nothing to keep you going. It creates this illusion, I'm not improving, that means I must not be good at this. But in reality, like I said earlier, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You know, if anything, this is a sign that you're on the right path, because this is where the identity crisis and justifications on quitting are the most prevalent, and this is why most people quit. The foundational phase is where you're literally building fundamentals for the first time. And think of any skill right now that you're good at. If you see somebody else learning for the first time, what do you tell them? Learn the fundamentals, learn the fundamentals, learn the fundamentals, right? Because it's the most important. And this is the phase where you build those. And learning fundamentals from scratch isn't easy. But if you start thinking that it's supposed to be, if you start making it so much harder, then you're gonna start overthinking this and overcomplicating the basic normal level. And it's necessary. You know, 99% of people never leave this phase because of that, because they can't get with the program. They can't normalize it, and they give up before the structure appears. I think most people quit not because the skill's too hard. I think they quit because their expectations don't match reality. They're in the foundational phase and they expect somehow that progress is supposed to feel fast or faster than they originally thought. They thought they were going to see visible progress immediately and every day was going to be improvement. Well, sometimes that might be the case. Most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's awkward, it's slow. You know, you feel like you're not doing anything. You start wondering, and you know, all the negative self-talk and limiting beliefs form here. But here's the truth. The foundational phase is designed to feel that way. You're not doing anything wrong. You got to remember, this is the part where you put in high effort, get low feedback unless you speed up the feedback loops, and you see no visible payoff because you don't understand. You don't know what you don't know. And you're not building results yet. You're building the capacity for results. And once you make that mental switch and you say, I'm learning the fundamentals, I don't need to be good yet. And you disassociate with the outcome and you just say, right now I'm learning the fundamentals. Let me get the fundamentals and then naturally I'll be good. Because what do all people who get good at a skill, they'll tell you, you have to learn the fundamentals. You can't build a good foundation if you have bad fundamentals. And because there's no reward, most people unconsciously start doing one of three things. Number one, they change skills. Don't do that. They constantly chase the next thing that feels exciting. Number two, they slow down their practice. This is one I was super guilty of. You only do it on days that you're motivated or you feel like getting after it. Or number three, which is the most prevalent, unfortunately, is they quit altogether, convincing themselves they don't have the talent. Not realizing that this is the part that every expert or person who's gotten good at any skill has had to go through. The foundational phase is a test, and it filters out everybody who expects results, but they haven't earned the right to see them. Now, before you think that I'm just here to tell you about all the suffering and confusion, of course, I'm gonna give you some real things to do and things to help you with so you can get past this phase so much faster with way less frustration. But first, you needed to understand the actual mistake that keeps people stuck and that you know all the little mental traps that you might fall into if you start when you're learning a skill and you're in the foundational phase. Most people, when they're learning a new skill, they start with this vague goal. I want to get good at X, but they have no real idea what that means. There's no roadmap. There's no like checkpoints to tell you where if you're on the right path. They have no understanding of what they're actually trying to learn. So every session when they're just working, watching YouTube video after YouTube video with no real structure. And if you have no real structure, it's really hard to feel progress. And this is why most people have angst and think skills should take much longer than they're supposed to do. And that's why I always tell people, and this is the thing you should do, is map out your skills before you even start practicing them. And even if you already started a skill, like you're not starting fresh, you've already been doing it for a while, it doesn't matter. Map out the skill, break it down to its fundamental parts. first principles. You don't need to map the whole journey, just break the skill into its foundational components, its core basics, right? Like, let's take, for example, let's say you're learning voice control as a skill. And when it comes to voices, the foundational phase isn't about sounding good. It's learning how to manipulate your voice. It's about understanding and experimenting with the core variables that shape how your voice is perceived. Whether you lower your pitch and have a lower pitch, or you raise your pitch and you could go so much higher with pitch. You could mess around with your voice. If I were teaching you voice, right? If I was teaching you how to control your voice, and if you were mapping your voice, number one, I would teach you pitch. How can you control how high or low your voice is? Can you speak with the intention at a slightly lower or slightly higher pitch? Does it sound forced? Does it sound weird? And you tweak it and you keep perfecting it until you get really good at it. Placement and resonance. Where does the voice sit? Does it sit at your chest, your nasal, your head, voice? Can you feel the difference, right? And if you did those two things, and of course you can even work like cadence. Can you slow down? Can you speed up your talk? Talk super fast, talk super slow, learn how to slow down, sound confident, sound rushed, whatever, right? And you get the point. And there's a bunch of other variables, but if you learn 1 to 2 of these variables and you understand the other ones, you're basically done with the foundational phase. And just like that, just learning those 1 to 2 variables, you see what I'm saying? Now you understand what to do next. You understand what the next procedures are. Because naturally, as you finish the foundational phase, you naturally know what the next steps are. Now you see how you have a clear structure. First learn pitch. After you learn pitch, then you learn placement. Now you know exactly every session what you're going to do. But if I just tell you learn voices, like what the hell does that mean? Or insert any skill. Like you think you understand, but until you break it down to its constituent parts, you have no idea what you're working on. And then you have this amorphous goal you have to solve, and you wonder why most people quit. I would quit too, and now that you're making progress, because now that you see this clear map, you're gonna start feeling good after every session because you naturally know what to do. There's so much cognitive load is off you because you have such a clear game plan, and every day you just work towards a skill. Now imagine how you were doing it before, how most people do it. Imagine working on a skill and not mapping it out, and you just work on different things every day. You have no structure, and you wonder why most people quit. Most people only work on days they're motivated. Most people have this belief that you have to practice 10,000 hours to learn a skill. And that's the power of mapping. Even a rough game plan, like you don't even have to be very good at this. Even a rough game plan gives your brain clarity, and your brain loves clarity. And clarity keeps you in the game. And there's still one more reason people still stay stuck, even though they have a map and they know what to do. And it's because they forget to track. This reminds me of an Albert Einstein quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different results. Most people do exactly that when learning a new skill. Like, think about it. Every day they're doing the same things over and over again. And they don't know that because they're not tracking anything. They can't tell what's working, what's not. So even if they're improving, it feels like they're not. And if you feel like you're not improving and you're putting all this time and effort, that's where the idea of, bro, skills are too hard, blah, 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 blah. And that's why you quit. I would quit. If every day I'm doing work and I don't see clear progress, why the hell would I keep doing this? But if I understand and I'm tracking and I understand that I'm getting smarter, and it might not be tangible, but my understanding is getting better, of course that's gonna motivate me and make me wanna keep going. So every session, when you're doing a 10, 30 minute, 1 hour, it doesn't matter, of whatever skill you're learning, just write what you learned, write notes, what you can do better next time, whatever you want. You don't have to follow a rigid format. That's the beauty of it. It's yours. So if you want to say, oh, I got distracted today because of the dog or whatever, you can write that. Like, I remember one day, I wrote in one of my journals, next time wear long sleeves when doing escape training because the tape is ripping the skin and I can't do that many reps. You get the point though. Just write whatever helps you do better for the next session. And if you keep doing that, you'll understand and your notes will be so much clearer and you'll see clear progress and you'll feel the wins. But that's all she wrote. As always, let me know if you got any questions. And until next time, Elu out.